Hey, welcome everybody. Thank you for being here. My name is Hannah Morgan. I am with Career Sherpa, and I want to wish you all a happy Monday afternoon. Thank you all for being here. While I am waiting for some of you to come in, I am sharing a link in the first comment to this week's Summary Sunday, which is called the Multifaceted Job Search. And the thing about job search is that, and I was just talking to Kim Andrews about this a second ago, is that no one teaches us how to job search. And I think many of us feel or used to believe that job search was as easy as just posting your resume online and voila, the job would come. But we know that that's not really the case, or anyone who's been in job search knows that's not really the case. So, um, that's what we're going to talk about today because there are a lot of articles in this week's Summary Sunday that talk about some of the different elements of job search, and some of the elements are a little soft and fluffy. So, if you're here today, why don't you just type in the chat that you're here, say hi to me so that I know we've got people here. That would be great. So I can give you a shout out and say hi. And for those of you that read Summary Sunday, did you have a favorite article that you came across while you were looking at it? Maybe, maybe not. Okay. So while I'm waiting for those answers to come in, I just wanted to give you a little bit of information about the different topics that were covered. Obviously, there are a couple of articles about job search, but not your typical ones. An article about negotiating your value when you talk to people during an interview. There was an article on re-entering the workforce, and I really found this interesting because number one, I had a woman reach out to me who I'm going to be talking with, who's re-entering the workforce herself, but it said women re-entering the workforce, and it's written by a woman who works for Verizon, and she says that, you know what, wake up employers, women re-entering the workforce are some of the greatest employees you could hire. And so she outlined some of the reasons why, and really is a voice on to employers, say, get on with this. You need to be hiring more women. An article about your well-being at work or in job search about how to maintain focus, trends in career development, and an interesting article on how COVID-19 is impacting the consumers, and what we've learned from that so far. So those were some of the things that were in this week's Summary Sunday, and I'm going to dive in a little bit deeper. Hey Matt, good to see you. Hey Chrissy. Hey Tina. Hi Jody. Good to see you. I don't know why you weren't able to access it, so I will share it again. It was, I don't know why that happened, but I'll add it again to the link. Mm, maybe that was why, huh? Um, let's see if it's by, I can't remember the guy's name right now, but here is the article. It's by Brian Solis, and he's somebody who I've been following for a long time. That's sort of a thought leader in all things career, so, and trends and what to see. So hopefully that's the article that you are looking for, and you can get that. Okay, so the first article was, for those of you that missed it, how to get back on your feet after losing your job. And so this is by Alison Doyle on her The Balanced Careers website. And it's, if you don't already either follow Alison Doyle or s- um, are a regular visitor to the Balanced Careers, I highly, highly, highly recommend that you do that. Um, what she does in the beginning is sort of give you an overview of where things are changing and um, where where the jobs are happening in a very broad sense, and it's talking about cities and states that are growing and why that's happening. And so just real quick overview of what that's all about. And I don't want to read through all of it because it doesn't impact everybody. But then she spells out step by step, okay, these are the things that you need to do. Check on your unemployment compensation. Decide if you need to switch occupations. Identify your transferable skills. Assess your interests. Use free and low-cost ways to update those skills, any ones that you notice that you're missing. Make a list of your top job picks. Find occupations, industries that are hiring. So really what this article is, and again, we aren't taught how to job search. So this article walks you through step by step in sort of the right order. These are the things that you need to do and in that order. So please, that's a really valuable roadmap because if you are just starting job search, it's hard to know what you should be doing first. And note to you, you should not be creating or updating your resume first. That is not what you do first. All of those other things are more important and have to come before you update your resume. The other thing that I struggle with a lot right now, and I don't know if anybody else is struggling, it's keeping your focus. And so Lily Herman wrote this article on Skill Crush about are there ways you can keep focused and what can you do, especially while you're in a job search, to stay focused. I'm going to be writing more about this because I posted sort of the same kind of question and struggle that I'm facing on LinkedIn as a post on LinkedIn, and I received a lot of information and feedback, and a lot of affirmation that yeah, other people are struggling with this too. As a matter of fact, there's a term for it. It's called COVID brain. But when it comes to your job search, staying focused and staying on track is really super important. And so this article written by Lily on Skill Crush gives you sort of an overview of the things on how to stay motivated in job search. Oh, and if you didn't know, on what day is it? Next Tuesday? Next Tuesday, a week from today, the 29th, 28th, is that the 28th? I'm offering a free webinar on how to stay motivated in job search. So that is coming up. I just want to make sure I'm giving you the right date. Laid off and looking, how to stay motivated and on track is the 29th. So that's next Tuesday, a week from tomorrow. And you can register that. It's on my website. But that's that. The other article that was mentioned that was mentioned in my summary Sunday was about negotiating your job offer. And what I liked about this is it was very specific to getting the pay you deserve during the pandemic. And a lot of people think incorrectly that just because this is a pandemic, employers have the upper hand on your pay and on jobs. And we see this anytime there are a high number of people unemployed and the employer can be more picky and choosy, and they oftentimes think they have the upper hand. But let me remind you that they may have the job, but it may not be the right job for you. And there are other jobs out there. So don't ever, ever, ever undercut your value or um, undercut yourself in any way, shape, or form. Just because the employer has a job doesn't mean it's the job that's right for you. And that's the whole purpose of the interview and the whole purpose you are negotiating. So it's really to help you understand that um, if a potential employer offers you too little money, you don't have to take it. Um, this is about your livelihood and about knowing what your value is. But let me now go back and say you need to understand what your value is in the workplace. And what your last employer paid you is not necessarily your market value. It is what your last employer paid you for the work that you were doing. When you are looking for a new job, that's working for a new company, doing a new job, and no two jobs are the same. So you really have to do a better assessment of what the marketplace is offering for those kinds of jobs. Luckily today, we're we're beginning to see a few more jobs that actually include salary ranges in them. We did not used to see that for a long time. Companies kept that information close to themselves. So um, do your due diligence and do research. Use Glassdoor, use Indeed, use any salary calculator. There are a whole bunch of them to really get a broad idea, a better idea, a realistic idea of how much people who do what you do in different companies are making. And that's really up to you to understand what your value is in the marketplace. So own that and know that you can always ask for that. Doesn't mean you're going to get it, but at least gives you an idea of what your value is. Um, Re-entering the workforce. And so, as I mentioned, there are a lot of women. And probably some men too, who have decided, you know what, now that the kids are grown, now that the financial circumstances are what they are, I need to get back into the workplace. And that often it comes with some, it's not necessarily a first choice for a lot of people. It's almost a choice that is forced on them. But sometimes it's a choice. But it's important before you say, okay, I want to go get a job, that you do some self-reflection and understand what kind of work you really want to do. Um, and this, is aligns with determining what your purpose is and aligning the job with your purpose. Even though you may not want to go back to work, you should always be pursuing a job that is going to fulfill you and be a job that you're going to somewhat enjoy doing. There's nothing worse than feeling you have to be at work and taking a job that you don't like going to. So if you do have to go to work, then at least find something that is going to align with what is going to bring you a chance for happiness. Though that's not really, the article doesn't dig into that so deep. It talks more about, okay, how do you find a job if you're re-entering the workforce? Hint, 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 it's about networking. But there are other things they recommend in this article too. So if you are or know people who are re-entering the workforce, please do share that article with them. This ATD article on maintaining focus free from distractions is really written more from the framework of somebody who is working, because we all face daily distractions in the workplace, but I think a lot of those same distractions are true right now, especially for those people who may be working at home. Anybody who's working from home and anybody who is job searching, we face a lot of the same distractions. So I think it's super important for us to understand that whatever distractions and lack of focus that we are facing right now, we are not alone. There are a lot of other people who face those same distractions. And what can you do to eliminate them? I remember during a while ago, I had this guy tell me, you know what, I was doing my job search at home, and what I found was that my kids would call me to bring them lunch because they left their lunch at home, or that my wife would create this huge long honey-do list of things she needed me to do around the house. And he said, funny, they weren't asking me to do all this stuff while I was working. I don't know why during these times of unemployment and my job search, they think I have time to do that now. I am launching, I'm engaged in a full-time job search, so I don't have time to do these things. Um, so I think that it's important for you to have a conversation with your family and say, well, I know you think I might be doing nothing. I am involved in a job search and I cannot be running lunch to you at school if you forget it. And have that conversation with your spouse and say, how can we share some of these duties and responsibilities? I'm not, which is a great conversation to have anyway. It's this managing the household, if possible, is best when shared as a responsibility between everybody in the household. So it's now is a really good time to have that conversation. If you find people are asking you to do things that you wouldn't normally do, maybe you can start doing some of them, but you're not the on-call person. It also talks about some of the things that you can do in managing your time on a daily basis. And even though anybody working should do this too, um, and it's based on the Pomodoro method. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. Go Google it and learn about it, and you'll get a better understanding. But the logic is your brain cannot can't focus for long periods of time. Um, successfully. We can do it. It's just not optimizing the brain. So what this article recommends, and it's based loosely on the Pomodoro method, is to work for maybe it's 50 minutes, maybe it's an hour, and then take a 15-minute break. Work for an hour, take a 15-minute break. What happens is your brain needs that time to disengage, to work on something different, to take a break, so that it can do that deep thinking and that concentration that you need it to do. So, if you haven't tried doing this, it's sort of working in spurts. I recommend it. I actually know personally that I can't do large chunks of writing and working. As much as I would love to just grind it out and get it done, I can't. I've got to stop and make things happen. Stop and take a break and do something else for a period of time. So that was the article on how to maintain focus. The next article is trends in career development, and what I had alluded to what I referenced a part of this article last week, in the top skills, but this article is the 20 most popular LinkedIn learning courses of the year. And what was really interesting in reading these popular courses is that a lot of them were about time management, how to manage work from home, how to work remotely effectively, a lot of those skill sets that we were thrust into, since March, and oh, by the way, had some more time that we could use to invest in our own career development, professional development. So if you are one of those people that has sort of been on the fence or has not signed yourself up for any training or enrolled in any training courses, this is this is something that you really want to be thinking about, because when COVID is over, it sounds strange to say that, but when COVID is over, you're going to probably want either a promotion or a new job or something. And if you have used some of this time during COVID to invest in your professional development, that means you're going to have skills that are going to be more in demand. You are going to be more marketable, more hireable, either inside your company or outside of your company. And that is really what this is all about. Nobody really wants to stay at the same pay grade for the rest of their lives, and the best way to make more money is to change jobs. So be thinking about, make a wish list of one or two of these courses from the LinkedIn Learning Top Courses of the Year, or any other course you found, that's going to help bring you to market better and give you more marketable skills. And Jody mentions in time management, yes, it's really, really important not to schedule yourself back to back, because that doesn't work. You need time to decompress and to switch gears and get ready for what's next. Okay, so the next article, World of Work, the Economy, Brian Solis wrote this, and his question is how COVID-19 created a new kind of consumer in just 90 days. And we know this because we are that new kind of consumer. We went from going to Wegmans, your supermarket, and physically shopping, to doing Instacart. And we didn't have a choice. We made that shift out of force. It was not a new habit we wanted to necessarily get into. We liked going to our supermarket in most cases and doing our shopping so we could feel and touch the food that we were going to buy, but we were forced into that. So I think I want you to read this article, because my belief is that a lot of the changes that we saw happen to consumers over the period of time we've been experiencing COVID are going to impact our ability, to find different types of jobs moving forward. In other words, new kinds of jobs emerged. We saw this happen, and we saw companies forced to let their employees work from home and be okay with that, and learn new ways of communicating with their work from home employees. Um, so what this helps us understand is that our lives, and changes in our lives, will force us to do new things in new ways. And that is no different in our professional life. And if we begin to think about and to question changes, how is this going to impact my life in the future? What does this mean for my career? I think if we're asking those questions on a more frequent basis rather than only in times of crisis, we'll be able to make decisions that are more mindful and proactive rather than reactive and in crisis, which is never a good time to make a decision or be forced to make a decision in crisis. Does it happen? Sure. But if we are being more mindful of this and asking, how will this change be impacting my career moving forward? I think that we'll at least give some thought to that stuff and be able to adjust and make adjustments. So think about, as a consumer, we're regularly being forced to do new things in new ways. And I think about the time a couple of years ago when I cut the cord and dropped our cable provider. And now we just use Hulu and Netflix and that kind of thing to get our television consumption, right? I asked myself at that point, because this is just the way my brain works, what is going to happen to my career and to other people's careers because the spectrums of the world are not going to be seeing as much business, and more business is going to Hulu and all of those, Netflix and those kinds of things. And what that meant was that we were becoming more of a on-demand consumer. And so what I kept saying in my work was, back in the day, I kept telling my work, I said, we need to be delivering career content that is on demand. We can't expect people to come to us in person for workshops or come to us when they have a question. That we need to provide people with on-demand career information. It's what they need when they need it. They need to know where to go. And so I have been trying to do that for a long time, but that's just an example of, I'm seeing trends in the consumer market. How will that impact each one of our jobs, right? Delivering on-demand stuff. And that's not going away. We become very selfish as consumers, and whatever we're expecting from our cable provider or our TV provider, we're going to be expecting of our bank, of any other provider we do business with. Just a note to ourselves, right? So that's that world of work, the new economy, and that Fast Company article. Um, any questions or thoughts that you had as you were looking at any of those articles? I know I sort of shared my logic. While you're thinking about answering that question, was there anything else that you thought of while you were reading any of these articles? I do want to point out that I published three new articles that are really not brand new. They're updated articles. 6 simple ways to find contacts inside companies. Decision making, does it come from the head or the heart? There's a decision making matrix that I shared with people on helping them make decisions. And the recruiting process, 9 things job seekers need to know about what that recruiting process looks like today, which is different than the way it looked pre-COVID. There's some things that are actually the same from pre-COVID to right now, but it's important for all job seekers to understand what that recruiting process looks like so that you can have an expectation of what it's like, what process you're going to be taken through. It's not the same in every company, but it's similar. Um, any other thoughts? I do want to let you know there are 3 things happening. And I have to check my calendar to make sure I'm saying this right. This Wednesday, there's a second time I'm delivering this workshop called Take Control of Your Job Search. It's on how to create a personal marketing plan. And that is from 12 to 1:30. It is $35. It's on my website if you want to register for that. You'll get handouts, an agenda, but it's a really interactive way to help walk people through creating their personal marketing plan. Then next week on Tuesday is my free webinar from 12 to 1, laid off and looking, and we're talking about productivity and how to be more productive in job search. And then On the 30th, and it's not on this calendar, the 30th, I'm doing a webinar. What does job search look like after um, COVID? And that's being brought to you through the Friends of the Macedon Library. And again, it's on my website under upcoming workshops, so there's a link to that. So that's also free. Sort of what to expect from job search post-COVID, during COVID. It's like what's changed in the job search world since we last looked. And those are the things that I've got coming up. There's a lot going on right now, and every day I hear more and more people landing jobs. And I don't want to say that to make you feel bad, but I do want to say that so that you aren't discouraged and think nobody's hiring. Yes, people are hiring. There are people getting jobs, and you can do, and you will. Any other questions about this week's Summary Sunday that you wanted to ask? Okay. Well, I want to wish you all a very happy Monday. Have an awesome week. Be productive. Go get them. And if you have any follow-up questions, reach out to me. All right. Happy Monday, everybody. Be well.